deceptive censorship. So we're only learning now what Twitter censored in 2020. It's a private bulletin board. They can censor who they want. But of course, at the time, they claimed there was no there with respect to Joe Biden and his kid and Ukraine and where their money came from. The public should have had an opportunity to know about that. So Twitter's in cahoots with the Democratic National Committee. They can do it just like Fox could be in cahoots with the Republican National Committee. But if Twitter's in cahoots with the Department of Homeland Security or with the FBI, then we have a different story. Then we have private business doing the government's dirty, unconstitutional bidding. Then we have very serious matters that have to be exposed in federal courtrooms.
You again with your article about hatred and protecting the speech we hate. Look how they teach us to hate Russia, how they taught us to hate Vietnam, how they keep teaching us to hate North Korea, how they taught us to hate Iraq. That kind of hatred is okay. That's government hatred. You're supposed to hate what they want you to hate.
Correct.
But when you hate what they don't want you to hate, then you're blacklisted.
So remember in George Orwell's novel 1984, a character named Emmanuel Goldstein, who was Big Brother. It turned out he didn't exist. The government made him up, but he was the person that the government wanted everybody to hate. Just like now they want us to hate Putin, and you're right, they wanted us to hate Saddam Hussein, hate North Vietnam, because hatred unifies people, and the government knows that. It's a tool the government uses. The government is the most hateful thing around because it uses the very tools it condemns. It steals, it lies, it hates, it kills, and it does so with impunity.
Yep. Boy, you just said it. Government about hatred. How did you say that again? The government is the most
hateful entity on the planet. It uses the tools it claims to condemn. It lies, it steals, it hates, it kills, and it does so with impunity.
And this is why, we really need somebody like you to be the president of the United States and leading a new third party. I'm serious about this. You go on in the beginning of your article, and you had told me that you heard this when you went to Mass last week. Those who lack the courage to change history are sadly doomed to become its objects. And this was from Reverend Father Alfred Delp, and he was a Jesuit.
Executed by the Nazis because he preached freedom of religion for all persons, including the Jews. And of course, it was a crime to do that at the time, and for that he was hanged. And this isn't ancient history. Oh, no. This happened just a few years before you were born and a few years before I was born.
1 year before I was born. He was killed in 1945.
Correct.
So this isn't ancient history. And this is German. This is Europe. And people don't realize that Germany, it was in the 30s, it was the top of the world in terms of science, philosophy, culture. Berlin was grander than Paris before it was bombed out.
Right.
So people don't realize that this isn't, and it's right in front of our eyes again. And the big picture here is that, well, it's the cover of the Trends Journal. And that is, stop bitching and join the fight for freedom. And it goes back exactly to what this reverend said, in the sense that those who lack the courage to change history are sadly doomed to become its objects.
Correct.
And so, I am sick and tired of people complaining and not doing anything. We're doing things. We're just not talking. We have the rallies, the peace rallies. We're trying to get new third parties moving. we're attempting to make things happen. And if people don't do something to change it, I am so sick and tired of people complaining and not doing anything. I've had it.
Well, I think that most people watching and listening to us now are of the same mindset. They're sick and tired of Tweedledee, Tweedledum, Democrats, Republicans. There's actually a little bit of a revolt going on amongst House Republicans by some libertarian-leaning conservative Republicans who are revolting against the rubber stamping leadership in the House. And I'm going to have on Friday Congressman Andy Biggs. I don't agree with him on a lot of things, but I do agree with him on getting rid of Republican leadership in Congress and changing it to people that have beliefs that are rooted in freedom. And they're challenging Kevin McCarthy, and McCarthy doesn't have enough votes to become speaker. I'm usually not interested in these internecine battles, but if the Republican Party can become one based on morality and based on freedom, it's a long shot.
If, as we used to say in the Bronx, if my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle. If.
All right.
There's no if.
I have Ritter on today at 3:30 Eastern.
But again, there's no if with this Republican or Democratic Party. It's a crime syndicate. They're murderers and thieves.
It is.
You got a couple of people in there that want to change things, but the whole it's a corrupt system.
It is.
Look who the clown is that's still the majority leader in the Republican Party.
McConnell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at it.
He tells all the other Republicans how to vote, and with the exception of 2 or 3, they're in lockstep behind him.
And how could any man look up to a clown like him? How could anybody swallow the crap spewing out of McConnell's mouth? And that's why I'm saying there's no if in this.
Yeah.
The only if is if we don't have a new third party, we are going to keep going down the rabbit hole of hell that has destroyed our life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. All the things that you write about each week about how our constitutional rights are being robbed from us.
And how 50% of our income goes right to the government. We work for the government or the government works for us. That's not even a rhetorical question anymore. We work for the government, at least for the first 6 months of the year.
Could you imagine this? Could you imagine this? And again, if the people don't stand up and unite, and again, I want to do it in a peaceful way because there's no sense that that's the only way it's going to happen. And we could turn this around. There are enough people that have had it. And again, you look at the data, you look at the polls, the people aren't happy with either of the political parties, the people that know better. It's time for a new third party, and it's time for you to be president of the United States, is the way I feel about it.
Well, it's certainly time to be talking about a new third party, that's for sure. One based on peace and freedom, because we have the opposite of that today when this kind of stuff is lauded and we are financing it.
I see more Ukrainian flags in America hanging up than American flags.
Yes, same here. Same here in northern New Jersey. Yes.
And anybody that wants to go support Ukraine, go over there, put on your military drag uniform, go fight and die, send your money, send your wife, send your kids, send yourself, send your partners. Go there. It's not, I am an American. I believe in the founding fathers. No foreign entanglements. But again, going back to the crucial issue of the day, Judge Napolitano for president. That's what I want to say.
You're very kind, my dear friend.
Again, it's not about me or kindness. It's about what this country needs. And again, what the president of the United States should be doing, and not doing nothing more and nothing less, is just abiding by the Constitution. We don't need the government to tell us one more thing to do. We don't need one more law. If I was running for office in New York, I'd close down the Senate and the Assembly. We don't need any laws. We don't need anybody. You're not representing us. You're only representing the clowns that give you money, that they pay you off to do what they want.
When Barry Goldwater was running against LBJ and was asked what bill do you first want to sign, what new law, he said, I don't want any new laws. I want to get rid of about 2/3 of what we have.
Yeah.
And at the time, there were only about 3,500 federal criminal statutes. There's now 5,500 federal criminal statutes. There isn't a human on the planet that's conversant with all of them.
No. Again, you know about this more than anybody. And we really need you at a much higher level to change the course of the history that we're headed toward, because the history is hell. When they come out and put a clown boy, a comedian, a guy that played the comedian and a sitcom as the president of Ukraine and played the piano with his penis, and then becomes president of Ukraine, and he's the man of the year, you know how bad this thing is and how fast it's going down. So as the World War III escalates and we go into nuclear war, everybody will really be happy about it.
Well, we predicted it, Gerald. I hope we're wrong, but I think we're right. I think the war started already.
Oh, it has started already. As a matter of fact, Lavrov came out last week, the Russian foreign minister, and said the United States is at war with Russia.
Yes.
And so we have to stop this. And we're into the holiday season, and the holiday season is peace on earth, goodwill to all. And again, the only way I see a way out of this is for you to lead the charge.
All right, my dear friend. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much. And we'll see you next week.
All the best.